And good morning. Welcome to Your Vote Counts. First thing, a shout out to the senior Dr. Dunnington at OU ICU. Hope you're doing better. You get to go home soon, and he'll make you proud today. All right, let's start with the legislative session. It's over, I think. Well, let's just see what got finished.
Yeah, well, also want to say Happy Memorial Day to everyone, and just want us to remember the importance of this weekend, what it means to our country. But what got finished? It seems like when I served in the legislature years ago, when we sine die, that meant we were done until next year. Right now, finished just means we're finished with the actual regular session. We still have an open special session that the legislature will come back in June and finish that up. It just seems like year after year now, we're extending this thing out week after week after week. What actually got finished, there's some good policy in there, but there's still just a lot of discord.
There sure is. Okay, finished. We got that part of it. Mr. Leader, what do you think?
Well, first off, I agree. Happy Memorial Day. I hope you spend this time reflecting with your family on what it means for this country and the incredible freedoms that we have. And I would agree, this has been a really rough year to get some incredible results. Education had the best year it's had in the history of this state, the largest increase to public education, and universal parental choice, which we now have in Oklahoma. Friction in democracy is a good thing. I kept telling members at the end, it wasn't about the process, it's about the results. And this year, we delivered. We delivered a fantastic budget, a lot of health care reforms, phenomenal year for education. It was a lot of friction, but a great year.
There was a lot of friction. And also, the legislature needs to learn how to do, movie quotes. By the way, thanks to, you can read Trey Savage's story about that. It was you quoting Casablanca. But let's talk about the things that are unfinished. There's a bunch.
Well, there is a bunch, and I will tell you the biggest miss we had this year, and there's just absolutely no excuse, is we didn't get tax relief for all Oklahomans. We got rid of the marriage penalty, which is great. That was wonderful. That's what needed to happen. We are a pro-marriage state. Everyone should universally agree on that. I was shocked it had any no votes at all. But we didn't get universal tax relief. It makes no sense. We have $1.2 billion. We're ahead for next year's budget already. We have $1 billion that has been unspent. How long is government going to keep your money? It's not their money. This was a massive miss, but I bet we got more on that in the next segment.
Shocked. I'm shocked that he is unhappy about the size of the tax cut. Your thought about unfinished business?
Yeah, look, when it comes to not finished, we talked about on this show multiple times, not just universal tax relief, but in particular the grocery sales tax relief. Inflation has been hitting every family here in the state of Oklahoma. You've seen it every time that you go to the grocery store. That not getting taken up in this session, I think, was a big miss. Some of the other not finished stuff is criminal justice reform. There were some 780 rollbacks. Remember, you voted on that as the people that you wanted 780, that you didn't want to send more people to prison for low-level drug crimes. We've rolled some of that back this year. And then 781 spending. We failed to get a bill across the line that would have added $12.5 million to actually start doing rehabilitation on 780. We've never funded that in the 7 years since we passed it. That was a big miss this year.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that. Hey, so it's not time for Willie to sing Turn Out the Lights yet, but when we come back, we're going to give it grades. Stay with us. And we're back. It's time for report cards, and we'll get to whether we're done this year or not. But let's start with, so far, Mr. Leader, the report cards for this legislative session.
Well, for parents, teachers, educators, schools, A+. For taxpayers, though, unfortunately, I got to give it a D-. There was absolutely no reason that we should have not got the tax cut this year, whether you're talking about an income tax cut or grocery tax. Now, I will say for fiscal responsibility, I'll give it another A+. We have over $1 billion we chose not to appropriate because we want to make sure we're fiscally conservative and we don't put ourselves in a hole for the future. We are $1.2 billion ahead in collections for next year because conservative policies are working, which is all the more reason what we should do is pause the grocery tax or do an income tax cut, even if you put a 2-year moratorium on it. So really, really good session, but a little mixed.
Okay, an A and a D. Sounds like the student's not paying attention.
Well, if I were going to do grades, I would do it in two ways. I would grade policy and what we've done. With education, I think that we really hit a home run on this. I'm not a big fan of the school voucher, but putting record monies into public education, I think, was a great idea. There was some other really good policy that's taken place, but here's where I would give a bad grade. And as much as I love my friends in the legislature, I would give the bad grade to the legislature. We spent way too long deliberating and fighting over things that should have been solved months ago, and we took way too long in the process. And the reason that I think that that's unproductive is it breaks down the trust that the public has in the legislature and the legislature's ability to get things done. And when that trust breaks down, it will make it even harder to do good policy in the future.
Okay, in the old days, whenever on Monday Night Football the game was over, Dandy Don would sing Turn Out the Lights, Willie Nelson. And I'm wondering, are we ever going to get to sing Turn Out the Lights this year on this legislative session?
Well, if there's any indication of what might happen, our governor here just this week at the end of session has already talked about calling the legislature in to a second special session in order to do tax reform. So we already have one special session that's open that will hopefully close here in June. We could be called back into another one in July. And remember, I served 6 years in the legislature, and I think we had only done a couple of special sessions, and that's because we had record deficits trying to figure out how to cut and where we would cut in order to balance our budget. We have record surpluses right now. This is not a time where we should be continually in session. Again, we have to figure out a better process to get along so that we can get the policy done for our people.
Another special session. Can you talk me off the ledge?
I can't, and not only will I not talk you off the ledge, I hope he does. I hope he calls it in. The House has taken a strong position in favor of tax cuts. I hope he calls it for tax cuts. Citizens of the state of Oklahoma, you elected your elected officials to work for you. They get paid the same amount no matter what. So I don't feel bad for anyone that has to come back and go to work to do the people's business. And I'll continue to tell you, the people's business needs to be judged by results, not whether or not there are different opinions. Our founding fathers didn't get along all the time. Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, not great fans of each other, but did some incredible stuff. If the governor calls it and it's for tax cuts, not only will I be there, I'll be supportive.
Okay, you just heard it. We're going to do it again, looks like. Thanks for watching Your Vote Counts. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. See this again at news9.com/yourvotecounts and follow me on LinkedIn, Twitter,